Well, I'm going to start with a joke because that's one of my homes is humor. And I have to credit Hillary for sending me this joke. Now, and this joke, the context is in the state of mind where there is a heaven and there is a hell. So we're suspending our unity reality and saying that for this joke, there's a heaven and a hell. And there's a senator who's at the pearly gates talking to St. Peter. And the senator says, okay, here I am. And St. Peter says, well, we're going to give you a tour of heaven and a tour of hell. So, of course, he says, well, let me check out hell first. So he takes the cloud car all the way down to hell. And he sees that there's swimming pools and hotels and people are playing golf, which apparently he likes. Some people like golf. And he sees people he knows having cocktails, and it looks like a really great time and everything you might want for pretend eternity, what we're talking about. And then he decides to take the tour for heaven, and he sees people in heaven, and they're bouncing around from cloud to cloud and singing with harps, and it looks pretty good too. But he seemed like he found more friends in hell, and so he said, okay, I'm going to choose hell. So he goes down to hell. They say bye. He goes down to hell. But it's all different. There's fire, brimstone. Where are the country clubs? What's happening? And, some guy with horns says, well, yesterday we were campaigning. Today you voted. And what's beautiful about that story is it's kind of got its karma in it, and it really does illustrate what I'm going to talk about, which has to do with the golden rule and beyond the golden rule. We all know what the golden rule is, which is treat others as you want to be treated, and we like it when people end up getting treated. If they've treated us badly, we kind of like them to get their karma, right? Let's face it. We like the joke about the senator getting some false campaign promises, getting smack up against false promises is a good joke to us. I mean, let's face it. We love karma, especially for the other people. I have shown you these slides before. Let's see. There we go. And these are, I want to illustrate that the golden rule is it's pretty much in every culture, and it's in every religion, most every religion. Just going to go over some of these. This is, of course, a picture of the Good Samaritan. In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets. That's in Matthew. This is in Luke. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Let's see. Oops. Here we go. This is from the Baha'i faith. It's interesting to see how other faiths put it, and that's a picture of Baha'u'llah. Ascribe not to any soul that which you would not have ascribed to thee, and say not that which you do not. Blessed is he who puts his brother before himself. And if your eyes be turned towards justice, choose for your neighbor that which you choose for yourself. Here's some similar teachings in Buddhism. A state that is not pleasing or delightful to me, how could I inflict that upon another? Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. I love this from ancient Egyptian, some dug up somewhere. I also like that it's from the Tale of the Eloquent Peasant. Do for one who may do for you, that you may cause him thus to do. That's pretty catchy. Do for one who you may do for you, that you may cause him thus to do. All right. Socrates, do not do to others that which would anger you if others did it to you. Judaism, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. That's in Leviticus. That's really pretty. What is hateful to you, do not to your fellow man. This is the law. All the rest is commentary. And what you hate, do not do to anyone. And I might add, and what you hate, do not do to yourself. Do not do to anyone, do not do to yourself. We need to remember that, the compassion. All right, now this is just an awesome picture I found online. I just want to say a little bit about it. It's some digital art. The name of the artist is Arahant30. I just want to read the description because I think it's a beautiful artistic encapsulation of what I want to talk about. Conveying the concepts of the Hebrew alphabet in relation to the creation of the cosmos and the human body, along with Egyptian cosmology, Buddhist meditation, and the ideology of Ken Wilber's quadrant. Anyway, that's just that particular person's interpretation. I like it, and I think it's just a nice encapsulation of a whole bunch of different things. Now, I want to say we know what the golden rule is, and we try our best to do it, and I want to emphasize that it's just almost an innate part of humanity to care for other people as we want to be cared for. And it is what is good and best and holy in us, and it's definitely what the Christ is in us. It's what the Christ is. But I actually wanted to talk today about going beyond the golden rule, okay? That we have the opportunity, because we're in community, to do more than just to treat, more, that's actually plenty, but we have the opportunity to choose to be in conscious community together and step up our game a little bit. Because there is something about being in community together that brings us up. I swear, I know it's true. It is partly because when we're together, we create a community of unconditional love, which is healing. The other thing is that it lifts us up. I don't know about you, but I can rise to my better self around other people sometimes than when I'm alone at home. I am called to be a better person. And that is part of the gift we give each other. Now, there's a lot of people who study how we are in community. And one of the teachers who's popular now is Ken Wilber. And he teaches how to be in community. He says that the development happens in 3 ways. The first way is waking up, and that's states of consciousness, peak experiences, and or commitment to an ongoing journey of spiritual transformation. Okay, so waking up is like the thing in your heart that calls you to be spiritual, right? That calls you to get set out on the path. And for some people, it happens in a peak experience. I've had a couple of peak experiences. And for some people, it happens because they make that commitment. There's something in their heart that says, I'm going to evolve spiritually. I'm going to be on the spiritual path. And they follow a daily practice. And that's what it is for them. And for some people, it's both. But that's this waking up part. And it's what we're all about, really. That's what I believe. Let's see. This goes a little fast sometimes. So, states of consciousness, waking up. This waking up has been identified by all the major religions and the spiritual traditions, and it's been practiced for thousands of years by some people. Not everybody, but some people have been practicing, and usually it involves some kind of contemplation or meditation or prayer. It involves some kind of quieting and communing with spirit, this waking up, right? States of consciousness. So that's one way we all develop. It's just a little trigger happy. The second way that Ken Wilber talks about that we develop is growing up. Now, identifying structures, stages, and levels of development. This is a little bit heady, and you can't even see what these are, but what they are. This is, for example, the Piaget's stages of development is one. There's the multiple intelligence is a picture of one. So multiple intelligence, we know that we don't just have brain intelligence, we have emotional intelligence, we have body intelligence, we have all those kinds. There's the hierarchy of self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy at the very bottom. So people, especially the past 100 years, have been really studying how do we do this? What's our developmental stage, And spiritually, it's interesting that now we want to put this together. In a way, it's been a little bit separated. There's this mystical journey, and then there's this intellectual journey about that there's a lot of information out about studying and development. And when you go, any one of those things, if you read about them, you'll find that it speaks to you at part of your development. And it's almost like anytime we see a map, especially of ourselves, we kind of want to go there. We want to go to the higher place. So it's good to look at that and to integrate it. It's another way that we have of growing up. Let's see. Identifying structures, stages, and levels of development. That's the spiral dynamics. The interesting teaching here is the trigger for vertical growth comes in the form of a major life challenge that cannot be resolved from the current worldview. So a person or a community or a people change when things don't work, when something's around and your worldview isn't going to work. So you need to get a bigger worldview. That's why, for example, the worldview that worked in early Bible times, which was the very earliest part, when the Bible was written, the Old Testament, the consciousness of the people writing the Bible at the time was a call from order, which arose out of the need to transcend might makes right. So there was might makes right, and then out of that comes a call to order. And then every stage you want to include and transcend. So we want to include everything and transcend. So this is good and exciting. Let's see, did I skip one? Yeah, that's my favorite picture. All right, the third way is cleaning up shadow work, and that's a picture of Godzilla. It's kind of a real pretty picture of Godzilla that I like, but it's a picture of Godzilla. That is what I think of as, that's how my shadow is. I don't know about yours, but that is how my shadow is. The most common thing that can go wrong on the journey of development is that unconscious, disowned shadow material gets projected onto others or negatively carried within ourselves. Okay, I'm going to go back to Godzilla because Godzilla is more fun to look at. All right, the thing that messes us up is our shadow work that we haven't acknowledged. It gets projected out on other people, and it's unconscious. And it is why the people in the world are so annoying. I can't tell you how I know this and work this all the time, and yet when I read this the other day at a group I'm at, a leadership group, it just excited me again because I realized that putting all these things together is very important. It's very important to put together the waking up with the growing up, because a lot of the waking up you kind of do on your own maybe, and the growing up you need to do in a group. And when we put it together, and we heal our shadow stuff, this is the exciting part. This is the thing, this is what is so transformative, because we can then create together something that none of us could do on our own. None of us could do on our own. And that's what we're going to do here. That's what this community is doing now, and we're going to do more of it. You know, on Wednesday nights, I love coming here because every room is full. Every room is full. People are working in a community group together on Wednesday night. Downstairs, they have adult children, an AA group. Adult children Al-Anon group. Okay, that's in the Harmony Hall. And then upstairs in the upper room, there's a group of people working on A Course in Miracles. They're doing that spiritual path. Usually I'm in either the sanctuary or the bookstore with a group, nonviolent communication group. We're working on, that's definitely working with our shadow Godzillas and learning how to listen with compassion to ourselves and others. And then sometimes there's another group here. They don't meet every Wednesday, but almost every Wednesday, called Heartbeats. And that's another spiritual exploration group. And sometimes there's even something else going on. Sometimes, like at one point last week, one group was wandering from room to room because I forgot about them, so I had to put them in my office. So that's exciting to me. I want every night and day, I would love it if people are wandering room to room saying, where can we meet? We're so excited. We're working on our stuff and we're working together. Because working together is how we see our shadow side. Because when I'm alone in the living room and I'm meditating, things are very peaceful and calm, and I feel very connected to oneness. But when I come over here and there's a bunch of people here, well, Godzilla happens. Sometimes, not all the time. Also, beautiful, wonderful community happens. But we need each other, and it's really important that we work together. Let's see. This is important, not just a picture of the peaceable garden. Right now I forget the artist's name, but it was just a good there's kids and tigers and cows and everybody all together in the peaceable garden. It's important. And that's probably too hard to see, but I'm going to read it. This is a scripture from Matthew. I wanted to go to what I think are some actual instructions in the Bible about having conscious community. Matthew 18:15-22, and I'm going to read some of it here. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. Well, that's some good advice. If somebody's annoying you, but to go, have a conversation with them. Don't pull any shame on them. Actually have kindness and compassion and say, can we work this out? If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. So you're in peace. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. Well, that's also some good advice, too, if you're in a church community. If you want to, because maybe your point of view isn't actually as wise as you think. Having a couple of people along helps the truth quotient. That's a good way to handle that. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, well, this is, of course, the harsh part. Let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. So treat them like a tax collector. So if we look at this metaphysically, we can look at it as a group. We can also look at it as a part of ourselves. We often look at, look at it, how is it to you too? So it's very important that we pay attention to the parts of ourselves. This has to do with the shadow work. The part of us that doesn't want to listen to ourselves, whatever it is. We all have probably a full million different things that trigger us or seem to trigger us, but when we actually look at the trigger, let me think, I can't even remember what, but something happened that upset me, and when I actually sat with it, I brought it inside and let it talk to me, brought a few other parts of myself to listen to it, and it ended up being like the same old story for me, which is this part of unworthiness. There's a belief that I'm not worthy. And I do everything I can to shove it away, and I do my shadow work, but then it comes out. And the important thing to notice is that when the shadow comes out, and usually it doesn't come out, quite frankly, for me, it usually comes out like Godzilla. It's kind of roaring. That's how I notice it. I wish it would come out like a little bit of a, I'm not happy. Instead, it's usually me yelling at somebody or yelling at myself. Often yelling at myself, just a kind of a irritation. But that's good because that's a cue and a clue for me. So it's good. So that's right here, the words of Jesus of Nazareth, I'm interpreting as working on the shadow. Now, I'm going to end up doing the rest of this next week, but I do want to say the rest of I wanted to end with this picture. Whether you like the picture or not, what's exciting to me is this person who's creating art, thinking about integrating these parts, integrating the waking up, integrating the growing up, and integrating the shadow work, which is what we want to do. And we are here to create a conscious community with each other. So this week, there's a lot of things to do at Unity. There's a lot of things to do other places too, but of course, I'm just going to tell you that we have a lot of really awesome things to do this week that Sandy will tell you about and I'll tell you about. Do something this week to join in conscious community somewhere, somehow, whether it's to come to a group here, whether it is to take some time, even on Thursday. If you can't leave your house, think about the people at Silent Unity, which is our greater community, praying for us. Pray with them on Thursday while you're praying pray with them in that moment and join in community. Go online. Find something, a community online that is about spiritual evolution. Do one thing this week in conscious community, and then tell me all about it. Let's take an offering for Unity.